So, for everyone else on the web, welcome back to Dawn of Djinn. Last time in our adventures, we took care of the Mimic here, which, if I did everything I could up to this point, would be the final Djinn Mimic of Dawn of Djinn, and in return, I'm just double checking, but yeah, it was Clover that we got. Like, there's nothing wrong with Twitch when I'm actually streaming, but I know being a Twitch viewer has kind of been a bit more frustrating to try to watch people on here than it has been in the past. Before I get too off tangent though, I was saying we picked up the Djinn Clover. It may take a bit before we can find a battle to do so, but if you remember the Djinn fight, then it might be apparent what it does. If not, I'm sure we'll at least be able to see the description soon enough. Do I like this class setup? I'm gonna just go with it, because I'm gonna just go with this, because I don't remember, and it at least lets me show off the jacket depth and a tri-elemental class. I'm gonna go from there. The time differences stop me from being here more often. Oh, no worries. The time... I am just bad at being on this platform, or actually being consistent with streaming lately, because I think it's been a couple weeks since I've last done it, so... It's just as much my bad as it is anyone else. And as for the Pokemon question, I'm not planning on picking up the new Pokemon games yet, so I don't really have an answer to that. My game plan is to wait until their release, kind of maybe watch a couple people play the first couple hours and see if I like it or not, and then decide if I want to pick it up from there. Because I haven't really been as dedicated, we'll say, to Pokemon games for a couple generations now. There's a situation with Sword and Shield where I did not pick it up on release, and didn't pick it up until Dynamax Adventure became a thing. Maybe it's just different when you're commentating while playing, but I don't remember these enemies being this brutal, even at this point. But then again, maybe it's a lack of experience from the optional area that I would normally have at this point, making some of these fights seem easier than they actually are. Anyways, I think we can at least show the Gust Manator what for. I think I'm at least anti-rusty enough to be able to do that. I'm sure there's a better word for it, but it's just not coming to mind at the moment. Alright, just gonna spam all my water abilities at his face, and that should be enough to take care of it. I mean, Brand's not water, but I'm sure we'll get some use out of that Synergy Seal. Alright, so lower defense, just in time for Geyser Crash to actually... Oh! I forgot about the secondary effect that it has of stunning. Even though it literally says in the description that it stuns. That's pretty cool in of itself. And I guess while I'm trying to talk about things, but still be on topic of Dawn of Djinn, I will mention that, like, the other day, I just decided to finally cave and actually upload Dawn of Djinn onto more prominent sites for mods. And I was just checking up on it a little earlier today, because I wanted to get the URL to talk about it on the blog. And I was actually kind of impressed that... I was kind of impressed with what I saw, because it looked like there's already 50... very close to 50 people who downloaded Dawn of Djinn just on that site alone. And that's actually been kind of humbling, because I kind of had a feeling that maybe some people were missing out on this because it wasn't on a platform that they were familiar with. But I didn't think that it would lead to that many people finding it out this quickly. So that's been a pretty humbling, to say the least. in of itself. Alright, now... I should really start, like, spamming my Djinns that recover synergy, because that last fight kinda... I'm noticing that I'm a bit more drained on my synergy points than I normally would be otherwise. I can't say I'm too familiar with Arc, but considering, like, I'm not really too familiar with... I stopped keeping track of platforms outside Nintendo a couple generations back, so I'm not too surprised. It was kind of... That does remind me of, like, the stories I have about my one non-Nintendo console that I picked up. I guess technically not my only non-Nintendo console, but up there. Like, back when the PS3, I believe it was still fairly new. Well, I guess I could use this for synergy recovery too. That's half the reason why the item exists. But basically I got a PS3. It allowed me to play some games like Crash and Sly Cooper Trilogy, but I never really got into it as much as I could. Like, I guess my time was just too divided to actually give those games a chance. And now, like, even though I still want to give a lot of those other games a chance, the long story short is that it feels way too much for me these days to try to keep up with multiple consoles, so I just tend to stick to what I'm familiar with. Oh, Arc is Pokemon with dinosaurs. You know what? It's kind of weird you bring that up, because I forget where. It wasn't even on stream, but I saw people. I caught a quick glance in the chat of another stream, someone saying a very similar thing about Pokemon with dinosaurs, and I'm now wondering if they're talking about that same game. I'll definitely look into it, like, in between streams and that, because, like, this guy killed Ivan, like, 10 times. Maybe it would be a smart idea to focus long enough just to assure that he doesn't obliterate anyone else. It's risky, but if I can save the synergy points, then I guess it's worth a shot, especially because I'll probably just be doing Wish anyways. Perfect. But yeah, I am like... Because it never... At least back when I was younger, it didn't really feel like too many games try to... What's a good way to put it? Finding games that were similar to Pokemon were a lot rarer then, as they are now. Because I know of things like Temtem existing and pretty much trying to do what Pokemon does better. Something about it, the way it was marketed, rubbed me the wrong way. So I never really tried it out, but I was aware of its existence. And I always appreciate indie games trying to bring us the stuff that the AAA developers don't. Kind of in a similar vein of how I can appreciate Bug Fables existing, and it's like... It seems like a good time to be a Paper Mario fan, because it feels like everyone is either making a Paper Mario mod, or flat out making games inspired by Paper Mario. Man, if the Golden Sun community could even have half of that glory at a time like now, I gotta admit that I'm at least a little jelly of that. Oh yeah, my point was, like, I always appreciate when developers... Like, I appreciate when developers try new things, but I also appreciate them, like, exploring things that feel like they got lost to time. I guess that's the only point I was trying to get at with all that. For some reason, when I'm commentating, that's one of the first things I tend to forget. Right, that wasn't even an actual tornado, because Dawn of Djinn likes to do things differently. Cool, that's still my art shortcut. I probably would have been in for a bad time if I wasn't. Speaking of bad times, you think I would have learned my lesson by now and actually heal. Let's try Side Suction, just to anything I can do to kind of reduce the craziness of draining synergy away and all that. And then I guess we can go from there. Alright. Here's a little defense boost for you. Oh cool! We actually got it back. For some reason I didn't quite feel properly prepared for that. I think we'll be fine because we can just restore it away eventually. In fact, I probably even have items that do this as well. Or I could just use Glint. Not antitoxins. Oh yeah, Clarity Clovers do the trick though. Okay, nowhere as bad as I thought it would be. You know what, sure, just to make him chill. And you know, I think I've been hoarding a lot of synergy recovery items, and now might be a good time to bust some of them open, at least some of the more minor ones. Don't mind me if I don't talk too much about these guys. Unfortunately, kind of like a similar problem that Vanilla Golden Sun has. We've seen this song and dance before. And because they're all tied programming-wise to the same entity, there's not really too much I can do to diversify each tornado. So we're just stuck fighting the same guy 10 times in a row. I am a little concerned, so chasm for safety might be on. I never saw this game before. What console is it on? Well, Golden Sun in its original form is a Game Boy Advance game. I don't blame you if you didn't see that coming, but this is a game that was initially made for the Game Boy Advance. Dawn of Djinn is a modification of the game. And it was a mod that I completed a while back, so I wanted to do a playthrough of it just to show it off for people that may not be able to actually play it themselves because of reasons. I think that worked alright before. Yeah, there's two Game Boy Advance games that came out around a similar time. They were a few months apart, but fun trivia, like, this is initially supposed to be an N64 game, and then somewhere around development time, they decided to transition it to the Game Boy Advance, and it was too big for the Game Boy Advance, so they divided it up between this and a sequel, The Lost Age. So, technically, Golden Sun 1 and 2 are one game in of itself, and if you play the game for yourself and see the whole plot, it'll make more sense. Not to spoil too much, but just a very specific example with the way this game ends and the second game begins. Kind of make that kind of apparent. And unfortunately, because Dawn of Djinn version 1, like, for development's sake, I made it without dialogue, without realizing that I couldn't easily put the dialogue back in. We won't really get to experience too much of the plot, but I am considering making adjustments to alleviate that problem in the future. Alright, I'm still poisoned. Shoot, I was poisoned all that time, and I never thought to actually use the new Ginny's charm we got. Wait, someone else is poisoned? You know what, battle's just about to start. I'll use this to better demonstrate the Ginny's charm we got. So one of the additions to Dawn of Djinn I made is across the world you'll collect what I like to call unawakened Ginnies that take the form of various charms. You equip them and then you get like this little synergy at the bottom. For example, Clover is an AoE poison heal, so if you have multiple party members poisoned, you can just use that Djinn and it'll alleviate the poison. Alright, let me see if I can beat this guy quicker than the others, because the way I try to alleviate the problem of this game recycling the same mini-boss several times is to try to make them strong, like do a lot of damage, but have very weak defenses and health, like a glass cannon of sorts. So, assuming I'm aggressive enough, this guy shouldn't be too much of an issue. It's been a while. It's been a while since I made it and last play tested it, so I don't remember exactly how this mini boss handles it. But like I would assume that I at least gave it enough health so he couldn't just like summon rush the guy and completely take it out in a single turn. But I wouldn't be surprised if that would have helped. Just pull out Wishbow again. Kinda figured that it was weak enough they didn't have to waste too much synergy on that fight. Oh hey, normal enemies! I almost forgot they exist. And it's worth noting that Dawn of Djinn, like, certain random encounters are gonna be different, like that. That's a big nope away if I ever seen one. Alright, where are you, Draft? We are in dire need of your services immediately. Probably could get a little bit of mineral in play here as well. So, Draft is a new genie that takes away any status boost that an enemy may have. Minerals you've probably seen a couple times. The synergy healing. Shiver was actually one of the earlier ones we got that does damage and lowers attack. And there's a bunch of genies that differ from the original Golden Sun and factors like that. Alright, so we're at that point, so I have a couple of choices to make. I guess first we gotta survive this encounter. Let's see. Fatigue would probably be good for a moment like this. Just get my resistance and defense off to be on the safe side. Kinda need some, no matter what I do, I'm gonna need synergy for the fights up ahead, so wouldn't be a bad idea to throw that into the scene. Never fully prepared for Dynamite, am I? Of course, now you know how to use items on people besides yourself. Could use a little more synergy. Never too shy for synergy, to be perfectly honest. Let's see how much this will do. Not too much, but at least I got some synergy back from it. Another little minute detail. For Dawn of Djinn, I've given every enemy some synergy points, even ones that normally don't use synergy, just so you can use skills like Synergy Drain and some of the new items, Djinn, and abilities without feeling like their secondary effect is completely wasted. At the same time though, there are some enemies that now have synergy, and not just synergy points, so there's stuff to look out for. Surely, this will be enough to finish them off. It'd be even nicer if I could, like, get a chunk of synergy points back before going forward, because I have some choices to make, and there's definitely downsides to any of the paths I take. Great time for a level up, I'll take any buff I can get.